Hello, my name is Kylie Lash. I'm an admissions advisor here at Terra State. I have with me here Sergeants Bollenbach and Martinik from the United States Army. So tell us about yourselves. How did you get involved in the U.S. Army?
I grew up 20 years in Connecticut. Before I joined the Army, I was a construction worker. I was an iron worker. I decided that I was working for a union out in Massachusetts for a little while, building buildings and doing all that stuff. And I ended up deciding that I wanted to do something a little bit more with my life. So I looked into my different military opportunities, and the Army ultimately stuck out to me the most because it gave me the opportunity to be able to choose what my next path was by allowing me to choose my job. It was a really great opportunity for me, and it gave me an opportunity to travel a lot as well because for my first 20 years of my life, all I did was, just in the same quarter-mile block in Connecticut.
That's great.
Alrighty, so actually my story is a little bit different than Sergeant Martinik. I joined right as I was a senior in high school, in between my junior and senior year. I always had an interest in the military as a kid, but like most high school seniors, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I looked into different trades and going to college and that sort of thing, but ultimately I decided to join the Army just because, kind of the same reason he did. I was able to choose my job, and I went and talked to a recruiter like most seniors do. And I don't know, I just kind of resonated a little bit with the Army and the recruiter and stuff like that, and it was a good process. So I felt like it was a good, safe pause on life button a little bit to kind of figure out what I was passionate about. So I ended up enlisting as a 19 kilo, which is a tanker or an armor crew member. So it was kind of one of those best of both worlds jobs because I wanted to join the Army and do something fun, but also something I could do outside of the military. And per se, you can't really use tanks outside of the military, but the type of equipment and learning how to weld and work on electrical stuff, I can use that outside of the military. So I ended up doing that. So I've been in for about 6 years now. I've been to Kansas. I was also stationed in Korea for a little bit, so I got to travel around. And that's a little bit about myself and how I got involved with the Army.
Awesome. So Sergeant Martinik, what opportunities does the U.S. Army provide to Terra State students?
That's a really great question. So the Army is going to offer a lot of different benefits to the students. It's going to offer them a choice of job. It's going to offer them a good way of finding a job outside of Terra State after they're done with their time here. There's a lot of different opportunities that come with it before and after or during. The Army's got two different kind of opportunities. It's the full-time employment and the part-time employment. The difference between those is active duty is going to be full-time. You're going to be stationed somewhere where the Army needs you, and there's many different locations all around the world where you have a possibility of going to, like Germany, Korea. There's stations in Hawaii and Alaska as well, including on the continental United States. With the Army Reserves, it's a way for people to, the students, to help pay for their college. It's a way for if they have kind of a game plan and they've always had an itch to serve, or if they just need help finding a way to pay for their college, what they can do is they can sign up for the Army Reserves, which is going to be a 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the summer program. They still have to go to basic training and job training, but what ultimately at the end of their job training, they'll be able to access their college money through the United States Army.
And can a student enroll in the U.S. Army after graduating from Terra State, or do they get to use their degree in their career?
So both of the answers, both questions is yes. Answers both of those questions is yes. Like I said before, they can join before, after, or while they are attending. It's the only time they would have to take a pause in their schooling is when they're attending their training. I know Terra State offers some online classes for the students, which they can still be able to do, which is actually how I'm currently doing my degree right now, is all online college. And the Army's paying for that as well. It's got about $4,000 in tuition assistance every year while you're in, and then after you get out, so every year you're going to get $4,000 in tuition assistance. After your time in service is up, you'll have access to what we call the Post 9/11 GI Bill or the Select Reserve Montgomery GI Bill, depending on if you do active duty or the Army Reserves. If you do active duty, what the post 9/11 GI Bill is that you're going to be able to get full tuition, books, and lab fees paid for any public college in America. And then you're also going to be able to have money to live on campus as well. With the Army Reserves, it's going to be the Select Reserve GI Bill, and that one is very different depending on what that individual is wanting to do. But the average amount of college money you're going to get, the one that's set in stone, is going to be right around $14,000 for college.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Sergeant Bollenbach, what different types of careers can a student be involved with in the U.S. Army?
Well, that's a really good question. So the Army, a lot of people have this idea that the Army, like you hear Army and instinctively you just think of one of our jobs as infantry, which is what people imagine as someone with a rifle, you know, doing Army things is kind of what I call it, or like a G.I. Joe, I guess, type of thing. But the Army actually has over 150 jobs, which is crazy. Like, there's still jobs I don't even know that exist, and I see new ones, and I didn't even know we had that. So everywhere the Army goes, we kind of build a little mini city. So any job you can think of a city has, we have something similar, which kind of breaks down into 3 different categories. We have combat, combat support, and then service support jobs. Combat would be kind of like what I chose, which is tanker or infantry, something like that. It's really exciting. However, it's what the stereotypical Army job is. And then combat support is like your mechanics jobs, your engineering jobs, and stuff like that. They support the combat guys, but their job is not like to do any combat operations. There's whatever their job is very special and specific. And then service support jobs are more like office jobs, or they wear an Army uniform, but largely they do a 9-to-5 office job, similar to like being a dental hygienist, a finance specialist, or human resources. So that's kind of like the wide variety of jobs we have.
Awesome. And how can interested students learn more?
There's multiple ways. I would say the number one way is contacting one of us. You can Google stuff. I don't recommend it just because a lot of people don't really do their own research very well, so they kind of get the wrong facts versus the right facts, you know. And that's kind of our job, is to explain to them their benefits. People are usually scared of talking to recruiters. However, we try to be as approachable as possible. And that would be the number one way, would be talking to a recruiter. And number 2 way would be going to an official government website and looking at the benefits through a .mil website or a .gov website. Usually like the U.S. Army website's a good one. But really largely talking to a recruiter is the best way.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.